Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDoc.com, and I'm here to do a review of the myTouch from T-Mobile. Now in the past, the myTouch devices have been made by HTC, but T-Mobile decided to go with a different manufacturer, and these new myTouch devices are made by LG. So it's a solid mid-range device. It actually has an AMOLED display, which looks very good, and a 5-megapixel camera that can capture HD video. So is this a device you should go for if you're kind of on a budget and you're looking for a solid mid-range device, or should you go with something else, or even the myTouch Q, which has a physical keyboard? Well, I'm going to give you guys a full review and tell you how the phone performs and if I would recommend it or not. Before we get on to the review, I have to say special thanks to my friends at Best Buy Mobile. We thank them because they send us the phones that we add to our One Paw Bandit game, which is a game where you guys can win free phones. One of the great things about Best Buy Mobile is that when you buy a phone from them, you don't have to worry about rebates because the price on the tag is the price you pay. So thank you, Best Buy Mobile, for being so awesome. Thank you guys for watching this video. It's a review of the myTouch by LG from T-Mobile. I'm Sydney from PhoneDoc.com. Let's go check it out. Alright, so let's get started with the myTouch from T-Mobile, and we'll start off with the hardware. And I think this phone looks really great, and it's nice to see an inexpensive device that still looks good. I think some manufacturers take for granted that just because we buy a phone that's inexpensive or that's budget friendly doesn't mean we want a phone that looks cheap. And so I think LG's found a nice balance between giving it a nice feeling, making it look attractive, but still keeping it at a nice price. And so on the back we have a soft touch coating, and then on the front is this black glossy panel. But just overall, the angles, this glossy band on the side, how it kind of thins out towards the top, the rounded corners, just overall I think it looks like a very premium device, at least when you consider that it is a mid-range phone and you consider how much you're paying for it. And it's extremely light. It's 3.7 ounces, and of course it's aided by that by being made entirely out of plastic. Now for some people, they don't like light handsets, maybe it feels cheap or hollow. The phone still feels solid, it doesn't feel hollow at all, but it is so light. So that's the hardware. It looks great. Moving to the front here, we have a 3.8-inch display. This is actually an AMOLED display, so it's clear, it's crisp, the colors show up very well, they're very saturated, and it looks great overall. It has a resolution of 480 by 800. So again, on a mid-range device that's budget friendly, inexpensive, you still get a very nice display. And 3.8 inches, it's not as large as some of the 4.3-inch displays we have today, but while testing it out, it was still comfortable enough for typing on, which we'll get onto in a little bit whenever we talk about the virtual keyboard. You can see, well, first of all, it's an Android phone, of course, but you can see that LG has made some customizations to Android itself. It ships with Android 2.3, which is definitely a bonus since 2.3 is the most recent version that's currently available to the public. Now we have newer versions coming out shortly, but at least you have the most recent version that's available. But then, as you can see, there are some customizations to it. And the myTouch phones have historically been very user-friendly. The UI just makes it very easy to take it right out of the box and get started with it, even if you're not very familiar with Android. So on the front of the display here, you can see you have a dock, and these have shortcuts, or this dock has shortcuts for phone, messaging, browser, the Genius button, which we'll talk about. That's been a common feature of the myTouch devices, and then a shortcut to go to the applications. Now this dock you can't customize, so these are the shortcuts by default and you can't change that. If we go to the application drawer, first of all you can see a new feature here. You can search through your apps, but the app drawer is also divided into categories. So we have recent apps, downloads, and then applications that came with the device, and you can change these categories, add new ones. You can pinch in to see the categories and then pinch out to expand the categories. Now personally, I don't really like having the categories in my app drawer. It kind of makes it more difficult to find apps that I'm looking for. So you can also have it in a page format, which is something that a lot of people will be familiar with because this is a format that a lot of other Android UIs use. So nice little customizations there. And then further on some of the customizations that Pantech has made, you can see in the notification bar we have toggle buttons for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, the Genius button, and also the sound profile to turn the volume on or off, turn the ringer on or off. And then Pantech has included some widgets. So here you can see a weather widget. We also have a clock widget. Here's an email widget. And we'll scroll over and take a look. Again, you're going to notice that the method for adding widgets, shortcuts, folders, or changing the wallpaper, this visually looks different from the stock Android experience. But along with those widgets that I just showed you, you do get a battery widget out of the box, so that's nice, so you don't have to download that from the market if you don't want to. You saw the email widget. A lot of these are going to come with any Android device, but the ones that are specific to LG's UI, again, hands-free mode with that Genius button, lookout security. Then you're going to get a bunch of calendar options, which is nice to have. Music, photo frame. Here's these are apps that I have downloaded. You do get T-Mobile TV. There's a sticky note widget that comes with it, and then Twitter comes with it out of the box, and you saw the weather widget as well. Here's a quick look at their custom email app that comes with LG phones, and then of course you can download the Gmail. You can use the Gmail app if you'd like. If we go over to messaging, and we'll take a look at their messaging interface. So again, here are a couple of the customizations that LG has made. So we'll move on and talk about the keyboard. I said earlier that having that 3.8-inch display, it's been comfortable for typing on. Of course, that's going to depend on how large your hands are. I mean, I have pretty small hands, and so for me, I could probably type on a tiny display and it would still be comfortable. So if you have larger hands, you may want to try out the device and see if it's comfortable. But if you can type on an iPhone, pretty much the same size, so you should be comfortable with this one. This is the stock Android keyboard that you get. This is a new keyboard that Google has designed for Android 2.3. So again, another bonus of having that latest version of Android. And then you also get swipe. So if you like using swipe, you can use that. Quick Round Fox. But let's go back to the stock Android keyboard, and I'll also show you typing out a message. See how well we do. Let's see, the Quick Brown Fox jumps over the lazy dog. So you see I was able to type that with no mistakes, and of course you can turn that sound off if you don't like it, and then you can use it in landscape mode. So if it's not large enough with it in portrait mode, obviously having it in landscape mode will give you a lot more room, be a lot more spacious. Of course, that's when I started making mistakes, so go figure. But anyway, that's a virtual keyboard, and you can also see some of the customizations that LG's made to the messaging UI. Now, powering the device is a 1 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon S2 processor, and then along with that you have 512 megabytes of RAM. And overall, I've noticed that performance has been fairly decent, but it lags a little bit more than I would like for it to. And I understand that being a mid-range device, you can't expect perfect performance. It's just not reasonable. But in my experience, general everyday tasks, it handled it fairly well. So you can see scrolling through home screens quickly. It has no problem with that. Going to the app drawer, you'll notice that just opening messaging, general everyday tasks, it handles it fine. But whenever I started doing things like web browsing, using the gallery, it kind of started to hang a little bit. So if we go to the camera app, and then if, say, I want to go to the gallery, so it kind of takes a while to actually populate the gallery. And then there we go. So a little bit of a delay there, and then sometimes the delay was even longer if I wanted to go back to the camera. You can just see it does kind of hang. Let's take a look at some benchmark apps, and so I can give you guys an idea of some of the scores that you're going to get, maybe give you a better idea of the kind of performance that you can expect. Okay, so here you can see we have a 1192 on the Quadrant Standard test, which is pretty decent for a mid-range device. Let's go over and run another test. And here on the LinPack test, we have 21.6 inflops at 7.79 seconds. So those are a couple of test results. maybe give you guys a better idea of what to expect. But in my general everyday experience, I have noticed a bit more lag even than what I was expecting for a mid-range device.